avoid the tariffs, Bill.
Okay.
They're doing that to avoid the tariffs.
But do you have a timeline yourself? Do you say, look, it's got to stabilize by this time, fall? Because remember, if it doesn't stabilize this time next year, Democrats may win the midterms. So there is
now the way things are looking right now, though, things have stabilized. Like, yeah, in all major markets, things are looking up. So, yeah, things are stabilizing just how we predicted. Now, like I said, the way Trump is working is honestly beyond my expectations. I was saying, guys, we got to give this like a month of being in the red. Who'd have knew? Who'd have knew 3 days later we'd have been in the green? Who'd have knew? Okay. And then we've been in the green ever since. So, hey, I was wrong, but I was wrong about the right thing. And I'm happy about that.
Risk here, big risk.
That's true. It is true. And I just think that I'll be able to convince people how good this is. This is what other countries have done to us. We've been the laughing stock and the whipping post. We've been ripped off by every country practically in the world, just ripped off on trade. And by the way, ripped off with NATO and the military too, because we supported NATO to a tune that was almost at one point until I became president.
Now, I'm gonna be real with you. NATO actually kind of pisses me off on a lot of levels. I mean, you guys start a war with Russia, you underpay on y'all dues, and then, bro, y'all get mad at us when we want to back out. Like, I couldn't. Like, NATO is to piss me off in so many ways. I could see why Trump wants to get out of it, because you started a conflict, you really started a war. You don't pay your dues, and then y'all disrespectful as hell. So, yeah, I'm okay with leaving NATO. We really don't need to be in NATO. We don't need to be in no military alliance, especially against Russia right now, since I'm going to be real with you, NATO antagonized Russia. And for that reason alone, I look at them with the side eye like, all right, bro, well, how much other conflicts have you started? Now I kind of want to look into it, because the whole thing with Russia is a bit perplexing when, you know, to be honest, when Putin set down a red line, you guys go past it. But we're supposed to see this man as the bad guy now. And I'm like, oh, okay, but you guys out here breaking y'all words. So I don't know if we could just see Putin as the main guy at fault here.
Then it was close to 100%. We're spending on NATO to protect Europe. And then on Europe, they're ripping us off on trade. But if you look at the European Union, they've been brutal to the United States. We lose $300 billion, $350 billion a year to Europe. They don't take our cars. We take 10 million of their cars.
That's getting better,
they don't take our farm products.
Right.
We take their farm products, and it has to change.
All right.
So
but
I'm willing to be the one that does that, but it has to change. And I've been given a lot of credit. I got an editorial today by a group that I won't mention, but a group that's a very sort of a semi-anti-Trump group. And they said, whether you like it or not, he's the most consequential president.
Oh, let me read some of these chats out real quick, because I did forget them. He says, the church got left out of charity and homeless drug addiction. Become a number. I mean, yeah, that is a sad reality. I do be feeling for those guys. Man, I used to have some drug addict friends. Trust me. And it is sad how they turn out that way. And shout out to my man AJ, said, I watched it. Steph is right. She was a wacko. That was culture. My friend.
That we've ever had, because he's doing things that if you don't do it, we won't have a country left.
Okay, and that's a legitimate point. One more question for me, then I'm Cuomo, then Stephen A. You signed a deal with Ukraine to harvest minerals today.
Yes.
What were you and Zelensky talking about when you were nose to nose in the Vatican?
I was telling him that it's a very good thing if we can produce a deal that you sign it, because Russia is much bigger and much stronger. Russia is just chugging forward. It's a big, strong country. By the way, not nearly as strong as the United States, because I rebuilt our military in my first term. They gave a lot of it away in Afghanistan.
But Trump, when you state facts like that, that's Russian propaganda. When you just sit there and state the fact that, well, Russia has a bigger army, has way more of a military force, has a bigger economy than Ukraine. I mean, why did we ever think that Ukraine could beat Russia? And then it's crazy how Trump had to sit him down and let him know, like, look, bro, a lot of your people are dying. And honestly, I'd have told him, it don't even seem like you honestly give a fuck. But I told him right there and then, we're not going to give you no more weapons. We're not going to give you no more money, but we can help you in this mineral deal where you can get some money to rebuild for your people. Maybe we can cut you something on the back end. But I'm gonna tell you this right now: we will back out and we will let Russia take your ass over. I'm pretty sure that's how that conversation went.
In Afghanistan is one of the
Due
reasons
to the
the
quick reaction.
we had an incompetent president, grossly incompetent. He should have never been president. But we had a man that didn't know what the hell he was doing. And Afghanistan showed the stupidity of our leader and the weakness of the military. We have a great military. I knocked out ISIS in 3 weeks.
All
They
right,
said it
well,
was
you
gonna
got the
take 5
deal.
years.
You got the deal with Zelensky on the minerals. That means the United States is going to have a presence in Ukraine. Is that going to inhibit Putin, do you think?
Well, it could, but the reason I did that is that we're in for $350 billion or close to it, whereas Europe is only in it for $100 billion.
All right, so we get
That's a
some of
lot.
our investment back. All right,
I
Cuomo.
felt very foolish. You know, they loaned the money, and Biden handed them $350 billion in between cash and military equipment. 350, we got nothing, and I felt very foolish being the head of a country where Europe gets their money back, and it's a much smaller amount, and we get nothing. So I went to them and said, look, we got to get rare earth. They have great rare earth, meaning certain minerals, materials. They have things that a lot of places don't have. It's a big asset that they have. And we made a deal today where we get, much more in theory than the $350 billion. But I wanted to be protected. I didn't want to be out there and look foolish. And this is not my war. This is Biden's war. I'm just trying to stop it. But
Okay.
the reason I want it stopped is they're losing 5,000 young soldiers every single week on average. Russian and Ukrainian. They're not American, but they're human beings. And it's so sad to see it. So I want to stop the war.
Let's get Cuomo in here.
Mr. President, it's Chris Cuomo. Thank you for taking
Hi,
the
Chris.
opportunity.
Good.
Appreciate you doing it.
Okay.
A couple of points of uncertainty. You're talking about, you just said a moment ago that you believe you can convince the American people about what you're doing. One of the things that keeps coming up in polling is that they don't know what you're doing and why you're doing it, that there doesn't seem to be a plan. What does that mean?
And that's what irritates me because, well, if you weren't listening to Trump during the election, and I mean, unless you're one of those voters who just decided to vote for Trump like a week before the election, I bet you don't know what's going on. But for those of us who listened to the rallies and the interviews before his election, he been talked about this entire plan and how it's supposed to work. So all the real Trump supporters, yeah, we're not worried about what's going on because he said this. He was even keeping it honest with us. Now, the guys who maybe just bandwagoned on or whatever, they're probably the lost ones here.
Mean to you in terms of,
well, and the Democrats, because they weren't paying attention at all, like not one bit.
How you have to make the case to the American people to have them deal with the period that it takes for a turnaround.
Well, the problem is Chris, is I have to be flexible because as you do things in life and in business, you need flexibility. You can't just be hard line and I'm going to run right through a wall and I'm never going to go over it or around it. I'm going to go straight. You have to be able to dodge and move and be flexible, and especially in business. Now, with the cars, I'm getting a 25% tariff for the people. We're taking in billions and billions of dollars, but they're hurt because they can't switch over 100% of the content of the car within a very short period of time. So they came to see me. I understood their problem, and I gave them a period of a year where I brought it down, and then another year. So I gave them a short period, 2 years, where they have to be switched over 100%, where every single part in the car is made in the USA. Now, if I didn't do that, it would have been very, very tough for them. And
yes, we have enough iron ore and materials on here. We have enough natural resources in America alone to get this done. I mean, and then with the, natural resource deal with Ukraine, now we have an abundance of resource to get this done. And then, look, hey, God willing that we get, Greenland. I mean, we're just sitting on a money pile at that point of resources that we just don't know what to do with. And we can do whatever at this point. So, yeah, everything's just working in our favor right now. Let's pray to God it continues that way.
So what I am is flexible. And if I didn't do that, it would be very tough for these companies. And these companies, it's a transition period, Chris. And transition's an important word because As you do things, you'll say, well, it's like being on the battlefield. You're on the battlefield. Sometimes you're going to move to the left flank, but then you end up moving to the right flank. And it's very much like that in business. And frankly, it's very much like that in life. But we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. And if you look at,
and shout out Michelle Glass, yeah, pretty much agreeing with me on, yeah, he told us, yeah, he told Americans, he told American people, it will be tough, it will be rough at first. Yes, he definitely hit us with that, well, truth bomb. And we all sat there and we realized it because we understood that, well, the corporate elites ain't gonna go like that. And then the Dems didn't even really get the call. I'm like, yeah, we're kind of going against the corporate elites that are selling out Americans, and we're trying to get those jobs back. And Dems don't see it because, well, little do they know, they're actually working for the corporate elites now, and they're pretty much shaking pom-poms for them. They done forgot their whole way. So I'm here to remind y'all, you guys are supposed to be for this. You guys are supposed to be for, honestly, when the stock market dipped, y'all should have been happy because that was a reaction for the corporate elites, and that was them making a reaction, letting us know that, oh, yeah, this hurts. This hurts, and we're willing to make threats about it. Now, when the economy bounced right back up, that's pretty much them conceding on, okay, well, it is what it is. The tariffs are here to stay, and we got to pretty much go Trump's way. Now, a lot of people don't want to see it like that, but that's the reality of it. We weren't just trying to sweet talk the countries. We're also sweet talking the companies as well.
China now, they're not, look, we lost $1 trillion on trade with this Biden. China was just taking us out to lunch. There's never been anything like it, the way we were ripped off. We were ripped off by China, but we were ripped off by everybody, but really by China. They were the king of ripping off the United States. Now they're not doing any business here because I don't want them to do business. So I set a high tariff. I don't want them to do business. Now, will we make a deal? There's a very good chance we're going to make a deal, but we're going to make it on our terms.
Mr.
And it's got to be fair.
Mr. President, in the upcoming budget negotiations, another point of uncertainty is what happens to entitlements. Whether or not waste, fraud, and abuse, I think everybody's in favor of seeing that identified and exposed, but that Social Security benefits or the adjustments or the application of it may be compromised, or Medicaid may be compromised in terms of who gets how much in benefits. Do you have a commitment for the American people in terms of how much you will protect those programs?
We're not doing anything with entitlements. And if you look at Social Security, and by the way, I think I'm better to say this than anybody because I did nothing with entitlements that would hurt people for 4 years. I could have done that. If I was going to do that, I would have done it 5 years ago, 6 years ago, or 7 years ago.
Yeah,
I'm not doing.
It's like if tariffs were actually inflationary, it'd have been inflationary under Trump's first term because he had tariffs then. Like I said, it's like, yeah, guys kind of double speak, but I mean, come on now. If tariffs were that bad, one, why didn't they cause all this, a price raise, inflation, recession, that, everything you are predicting now? Why didn't it cause it in his first term? Well, guess what? You know what's even funnier? Biden had the same tariff that Trump had. Why didn't it cause it under his term? Well, no, wait. I mean, maybe you can make the argument it did, but I believe that was Biden's failed policies with the Inflation Reduction Act and other things as well.
Anything. The only thing is, you say don't talk about waste, fraud, and abuse. There is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. There are a lot of illegal aliens that are getting Medicaid that shouldn't be getting it. And nobody objects to taking people off Medicaid that aren't allowed to be there. But we are doing absolutely nothing to hurt Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security. Nothing at all.
I mean, if you look at the CR bill, the man added money to Medicare.
Stephen A.
600
Mr.
million.
President, how are you,
Hello,
sir?
Stephen.
How are you?
I remember you from a long time ago, Stephen.
Yes,
How
I
have
do.
you been?
He's the same, Mr. President. He hasn't changed at all.
I'm
Just trouble morning, night, and afternoon.
I mean, you could tell Steve.
Congratulations,
All
Mr.
right.
President. Honored to talk to you. Here's the deal. You talked about obviously you've introduced aggressive tariffs and significant budget cuts aimed at federal spending. Many critics say these policies disproportionately impact lower income Americans. How do you address concerns that your economic policies primarily benefit wealthy Americans while harming working class Americans?
It actually creates jobs for the middle income. It's going to be better for the middle income. It's going to save our country because we're going to become rich again. Stephen, we lose so much money on trade. It's unbelievable. And instead of losing a lot of money, and they did to us for years what I'm doing to them right now. They charged us tariffs. They wouldn't let us build anything in our country. They said, you want to sell a Ford or you want to sell a General Motors car or anything, you come to China and build your plant in China. You come to the European nations and build your plant in Germany. You build it in France. You build it where we have no interest in letting you. As an example, we don't sell any cars virtually in China. We don't sell any cars in Europe, any. And yet Europe sells millions of cars, Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen, millions and millions of cars. They won't take our agricultural product. It's great product. They won't take almost anything for us, but we take their cars, we take their agriculture.
And now for some of you guys want to say that, oh, well, what you mean is the pesticides and all that good stuff. I mean, come on now. I understand what you guys are talking about when it comes to the meats and the beefs, but I've heard stories that, you know, Europe ain't too different. Y'all ain't too different about how y'all handle y'all meats as well, or some of y'all foods. Now, I will give you guys this, though. Y'all don't allow, you know, what was it? I think the 10,000 chemicals in y'all food that we allow in ours. So we will give you guys that. And if you're saying that America needs to clean up some of their actions to go ahead and get into y'all market, trust me, I'm sure we'll do so. I'm sure we'll do so. So we're talking about the bleach washed chicken and all that good stuff. We got you. But for some of our vegetables and fruits and all that, you guys honestly have no stance on that. And other food items as well that you have no stance on. But if you just want to talk about the meat, then whatever. We can fix that.
Those days are over. We have to have fair trade. We're losing billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, and it's not fair. And it's time for the American people to be properly protected by somebody that knows what he's doing. And I know what I'm doing perfectly. It's a little complicated subject. I've got to explain it. I've got to have people that can explain it. But I can tell you that right now we have over 100 countries that are calling us like morning, noon, and night, dying to make a deal. We're in a great position of strength. We'll make great deals. And where we don't make deals, Stephen, we're just going to set the deals. We'll say that country is going to pay a 20% tariff. That country is going to pay 15%. Another one's going to pay 30 or 40%. Because we have a big, deficit with a certain country.
Yeah, and most of these countries are going to come to the table instead of letting us set the price. I'm pretty sure a lot of these guys would rather just negotiate it than let Trump just hit them with the, all right, man, well, cool. We'll just keep that reciprocals on you, my man. And you're going to either get hit with those high tariffs or import bans or import limitations. We'll play the same games that you guys are playing with us.
Country, they're going to pay 30, 40, 50, 60%. So we'll just set those deals. I could set those deals tomorrow and do away with negotiating, but we're negotiating with South Korea. We're negotiating with Japan. We're negotiating with a lot of different, many. India is a very big, they want to make a deal so badly.
Okay.
I'm not telling anything out of school. We're going to make great deals for America instead of bad.
Well,
and if I didn't take this hard line, India, as an example, had no interest in negotiating with anybody in Biden or frankly, anybody with us. They had no fear. They were ripping us really badly. One of the highest tariff nations in the world. They were taking advantage of us. Now they're calling us and they're saying, please, let's make a deal.
You know, it's so funny, though. Now, when countries have trade barriers, they experience something called deflation. Now, I kind of said this has something to do with why our inflation rate is so low. Is because, yeah, right now we got some pretty crazy trade barriers up. And it's funny how I don't get it either. I'm gonna have to look this up and honestly see why the mechanics, I would say the economic mechanics of why trade barriers cause a deflation. I don't know, maybe because you don't need to print so much money to go outside and you're keeping it inside. Maybe that's why. But that's just my theory. But what it has been seen, and this can be proven, that when there are trade barriers up, deflation does happen.
Deal.
When are you going to announce it?
Position of strength.
When are you going to announce? I understand you have a deal with South Korea, Japan, and India. You already got it. When are you announcing it?
Well, we have potential deals with them, yeah. But I'm in. Okay, I'll tell you this. I'm in less of a hurry than you are. We are sitting on the catbird seat. They want us. We don't need them.
All right, remember the folks are nervous, though.
But they've been ripping us. Let me just tell you, they've been ripping us off.
We got that, but the folks.
South Korea has been ripping us off. We pay for their military. You know, when I was there, I got them to pay billions of dollars toward the military. We pay for their military. They take advantage of us on trade. Now, these are friend and foe. We often do better with foe, meaning the enemy, than we do with the friends. The friends have been brutal to this country.
You know, so crazy. You want to look, China does steal a lot of intellectual property. I mean, they steal $600 billion in intellectual property a year. You want to know who came out with the most invention patents in the world, guys? Well, let me tell you, the United States. Yes, we come out with the most invention patents in the world. I mean, we have been the key part of innovation in the world, but we are the reason why motherfuckers is flying in the sky right now, okay? This is us, Wright brothers, shout out. So let's not forget who the main innovator is in here. Like, it's kind of crazy how they try to talk down on us, but they still use our technology, though. It's like, yeah, we are the main innovators. We have most of the patents. Yeah, I got to get down with that part. Y'all really do look down on Americans, like, I don't understand why. Like, we are the richest country. We have the most patents. We have the strongest military, biggest economy. Can you tell me, like, when do we lose again? Like, how could we lose this to China? Please tell me when everything's in our favor.
On trade.
But remember, once you announce the stock market's going to go up 2,000 points and people will relax
That's okay.
a little more.
It can wait 2 weeks.
They can wait.
2
All
weeks.
right. Okay.
Mr. President, an additional question that might require an explanation. Your administration has issued executive orders dismantling DEI initiative across federal agencies, including revoking equal opportunity mandates and slashing funding for minority-owned businesses. Critics argue these actions reverse decades of civil rights progress. So how do you justify these measures, and what message do they send to the marginalized communities in this country?
Well, it was one at the as you know, it was one at the Supreme Court. And what we're doing is we have a country that's based solely on merit now. And that's the way it is. If somebody's out there doing a great job, and this includes getting into colleges, if you've worked really hard, and we don't look at race, we don't look at color, we don't look at height or shortness or weight. If somebody is doing a good job and they worked and they got great marks and they got great board numbers, and they get rejected at this Harvard, which has been so disgusting, so horribly. I mean, so think of it. They hired Bill de Blasio and Lori Lightfoot, the two worst mayors in the history. They pay them a fortune.
But that was the course, though.
They're teaching management.
The
Let
course
me just
was,
tell you that
the course
it's based
was
now, Stephen, on merit.
the course at
Everything is
Harvard,
based
though,
on
Mr.
merit.
President, was how to be a bad mayor. That was the course. So they had to
Well,
hire
that would
those
be
two.
good. Then they would be terrific.
Laura, I got a studio audience question from Lee Shapiro. Lee's a tough guy. Lee says, what's the biggest mistake you think you've made in the first 100 days?
I'll tell you, that's the toughest question I can have, because I don't really believe I've made
You
mistakes.
made any mistakes?
We're in a transition.
I mean, come on now. We all know Donald Trump is famous for never admitting when he's wrong. I'll tell you that. I will tell you that. That man is famous for not admitting that. He's like, what? You think I'm going to tell you if I made any mistakes? Nah. And he's not even wrong. I'm just telling you, if you think Donald Trump is ever going to admit some mistakes, nah, he's not. Why? Because, well, let's be real. The left's going to have a field day with the man. I honestly feel like the reason why Trump doesn't admit when he's wrong is because the left will just ride it. They will ride it the entire year. They will never let us live it down. I mean, this one wrong thing that this man verifies, I promise you, the left will just never let it go. They'll never let it go. So I can see why this man never admits that he's wrong. I can see why.
Period. We're in a transition period.
I think Lee is
I
reassured.
think you're going to see tremendous economic victories over the next period of a year, like far greater than ever imagined. Right now, as I said, we're losing billions and billions of dollars on trade. We're going to make billions and billions of dollars, but it takes a little while. That doesn't happen overnight, but it will happen much faster than people understand.
All right, Cuomo's got one more.
All right, let me get Stephen Smith in here, and then I got a question for you, Mr.
Well,
I appreciate your time.
Mr. President, thank you for your time. It's interesting that you brought up Harvard, because when people think about Harvard, what they're basically talking about is they're asking, what do you say to those who view your actions as an attack on academic freedom rather than a defense of fairness? What do you say to that?
Well, I say this: we had riots in Harlem, in Harlem, and frankly, If you look at what's gone on, and people from Harlem went up and they protested, Stephen, and they protested very strongly against Harvard. They happen to be on my side. You know, I got a very high black vote. You know that. Very, very high black vote. It was a very great compliment to me. I did criminal justice reform. I did opportunity zones for one of the greatest economic deals ever for the black and Hispanic community. I got tremendous. They agree with what I'm doing with respect to Harvard. Harvard gets $4 or $5 billion a year from the United States government in the form of
correction, about 3 billion, but you know, they ain't missing that money. You know, Harvard, they got like 56, no, my bad, $56 billion in endowments. They ain't missing no $3 billion. Trust me, they're just fine. I mean, even in tuition, even in tuition, these guys are pulling in a good amount of money.
Grants, and they have $53 billion, and yet they don't treat the people right. They take foreign students, nobody knows where they come from, and they viciously hate our country. And I'm saying if we're going to give grant money, we want people in that school that are going to love our country, not people that are going to hate our country. They run a bad operation up there, and we have to get to the bottom of it. On top of that, they said they want to teach their students remedial mathematics. That's basic math. 2 and 2 is 4. And you say, well, Harvard's supposed to be so great. Why do people have to have remedial? That's basic.
Now, here's the thing, though. Like, just get rid of prerequisites in general, bro. Prerequisites is probably like, bro, it's a way to just suck money out of students. It's a scam. Like the fact that I got to retake classes. Now, not fuck retaking them. I got to pay for classes. I got to pay to retake classes I took in high school. It's almost disrespectful. It's like, bro, I paid to go to college so I can learn this skill. Not to retake classes I took in college, but now I'm paying for them. I guess now I got to take them more seriously, of course. But it's like, bro, that's a scam.
Very simple mathematics. So we're looking into Harvard, but we give them billions of dollars a year, and that may very well stop. And that's up to the president. It's up to our government. We don't have to grant them money. We can grant that money to people that really need it, and frankly, people that you'd rather have me give the money to, Stephen.
Mr. President, as a graduate of Winston-Salem State University, which is an HBCU, I'm fully aware of the contributions that you've made to HBCUs in the past.
Thank you.
There is a concern, however, that with all the things going on in this day and time, that there will be a cut in federal contributions to HBCUs. Should HBCUs be very concerned about you making cuts in that regard?
Not at all. And let me just tell you, I'm glad you brought it. Historically black colleges and universities, I saved them, Stephen. They were going out of business. They came to me, about 50 people that headed up, and they came.
I know the Biden administration was making them beg for money. Well, what was it? Nah, they said it was the Obama and the Biden administration that was making these guys pretty much beg for money. But now when Trump comes in, they don't even got to beg. They was, bro, just like, what you mean? Why wouldn't I give y'all money? Yeah, it's crazy how Trump cares about black education more than the Democrats. It's a shame, but it is what it is.
To me the first year, and I took care of them. I took care of the black colleges and historically black HBCU. I took care of them. You know that better than anybody. Then they came to me the second year, and I said, wait a minute. Why do you keep coming back? I saw you guys, and they were great guys. Some of them to this day are still really friendly. And by the way, they love Trump, every one of them. They came to me the second time.
Well, you're giving them money.
They came to me the second time. They came to me the second time, and I was surprised to see him.
I got it, Mr. President.
Just to finish it. They came to me the third, and I said, fellas, you need long-term. I got the historically black colleges and universities. I got them more money than they ever dreamt possible. And they're in great shape now, and they have long-term financing. Nobody did that but Donald Trump.
Okay. Stephen A. Smith may run for president, as you know. Do you have any advice for Stephen A. If he launches the run?
No, Stephen A. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. I love watching him. He's got great entertainment skills, which is very important. People watch him. You know, a lot of these Democrats I watch, I say they have no chance. I've been pretty good at picking people and picking candidates, and I will tell you, I'd love to see him run.
All right, there you go. You got one more?
I say, man, it would suck to run for president because you would literally have to clean up all your language. And shout out Stephen A. Smith, you're already like game for that. It's like, I don't know if he got the grilling aspect of it, you know, to be able to sit there and really lay it to the Dems. Yo, Steve, bro, if you need a press secretary, call your boy, man. Trust me, I'm gonna lay into him.
Not me. I like him too much. Mr. President, we're gonna let you go. Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask you something because I know that for you, legacy matters. You talk about it in house. You talk about it out of house. When you got shot, I reached out through family. I wanted to talk to you, and I wanted to tell you a couple of things. One was that I hope that you were okay and that your family was dealing with it all right. And the second one was that I was embarrassed by how it was being covered as if maybe it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I told my audience that I spoke to you. I didn't talk about the details of the
I mean, that was embarrassing. And like the Dems were literally trying to say, oh, it was fake. Oh, you know, he cut himself with glass. It wasn't real. And I'm just thinking, like, you know, there's a man called Alex Jones, who was sued $1 billion for doing the exact same thing that liberal media done today. Sued this man for $1 billion for the exact same thing that liberal media did today. And you know what? To the family of that firefighter, I mean, y'all need to get you a lawyer and go get y'all bag.
Conversation because they didn't matter. But there
Go
was a lot of heat that came my way as if I shouldn't have been making a comfort call to Donald Trump. We're very divided. You know this. You want to be remembered as one of the greatest presidents in America. You know our history. Every president who's considered great was seen as a unifier. What do you need to do to be remembered as someone who could bring this country together?
Well, I think I will be a great unifier. That's what I want to be, and it's very important to me. Hispanic vote, I got the highest Hispanic vote, maybe, I think, ever for a Republican candidate. If you look at the border between Mexico and Texas, I won every single border state. And
speaking of Hispanics, you know what? I would like my Hispanic Americans to low key go on Twitter and start bashing y'all Mexican, the Mexican's president. Yes, my Mexicans, you guys, American ones, need to start bashing that lady for not allowing us to clean up the cartel. Like, bro, she's not allowing us to help y'all country. Some of this, I mean, it's even crazy because people are actually running from that country because of cartel control and other countries in Latin America as well. And y'all government don't want us to fix it. We just designated these guys as terrorist group. This is their green light. This is your opportunity to liberate yourselves, and y'all don't want to take it? Man, something going on, bro. Something going on.
it was all Hispanic vote. I won Miami. I won Florida. I think I am a unifier. I think I have votes that Republicans have never gotten before. And that's why I was able to win the election in such a big fashion. With all of that being said, what I have to do is save the country. The country was going down the tubes. This country was in big trouble. You had a border where millions of people were pouring in from jails, from prisons. They were pouring in at levels from mental institutions, gang members, terrorists, and we're getting them out. You can't have a country with these people there. We had 11,888 murderers. Many of these people killed more than one person. More than 50% of them killed more than one person. We got to get them out of their country. I don't know if that's unity or disunity, but I have no choice. You know, some things you have no choice. But I do remember your call. I appreciate your call. And I actually appreciate your family. I've known your family for a long time. You know that.
Mr. President, I want to thank you very much.
Now, to lay into this guy's point, well, no, I'm not. But let me kind of lay into your point here. So we should just let this terrorist organization keep selling fentanyl, keep endangering the American people and human smuggling people. We should keep letting them do that because why? Because they're what? What, in a foreign nation? I mean, when do we ever give a fuck about that? Exactly. So we should just let these guys keep hurting the American people because they're what? In foreign what? They're behind foreign lines? No. Nope, I don't think so at all. I think a lot of Americans would disagree with you on that one, my friend. We would all sit there and say, well, they are hurting us. And your idea is just to let them be and say, fuck it. Yeah, no, my friend. I mean, you can be a coward, but we will not. We will not choose a cowardly route here.
Thanks for taking the time on a very busy day. Our audience there. And It was very kind of you to do it, and I think people got a lot out of it. Thanks again.
Thank you much. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So we're going to go to break, but I want to get your take on this. Stephen A., Bill and I have interviewed the president multiple times.
Yeah.
Meeting him in conversation, dealing with the issues as you know they exist. What do you think about the answers?
I had no problem with the answers. I mean, obviously, he was long-winded in saying what he was saying. It was hard to dispute some of the things that he was saying. He is a person that obviously thinks that this country was in a very, very bad state prior to the election. He has his belief system. He has his constituency to answer to. He's very, very big on saying that he's trying to fulfill the promises he made to the people who put him in office. I think that when you look at an elected official, if that's their approach, fact of the matter is we kind of wish that most politicians were like that in terms of I'm going to do what I said to my constituents I was going to do. Having said that, it's a lot of talk, and I hope that it's backed up. These deals that have been
2 weeks.
Okay, well, when you're going to announce them, who are they with? How real are they, et cetera? I'm not questioning. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm saying we want to see it. Just like they said, we've got over $2 trillion in commitments from companies everywhere. Well, who are these people?
Hey, shout out to my man Luke. He said, don't forget, Alex Jones was key in Trump defeating Hillary Clinton. Liberal media never let that one down. Yeah, I remember he was on Alex Jones, and he was bringing up some crazy stuff. But so, yeah, I ain't gonna lie. He did get that underground conspiracy group to really go for Trump. So shout out Alex Jones. And I'm gonna be real with you, that man got a lot of information. Like Alex Jones, bro, that man be having like all these news articles just laid out before him and all that. I'm about to low-key utilize that strategy, to be quite honest with you. But it is pretty impressive how he just have all these articles, random articles ready to pull up to, pull up on his point. And I'm like, you know what? I need to utilize that. That's a banger. I do like how he runs his show and how he sources this information.
And when is it going to come to fruition? We have a right to ask those questions, just like I asked him about HBCUs. He said what he said. I was very, very pleased with this answer. I hope he's true to his word.
Let's take a break, and we'll come back, and you and I will talk with Stephen and James Carville about what he heard. Listen, I told you tonight was going to be special. It already has been. When we come back, we'll start getting impressions on what was heard from the president and what you need to hear in this country. James Carville, Bobby Kennedy Jr., Chris Sununu, Steve Bannon. Stay with us.
Yeah. I mean, we got the Trump lovers and the Trump haters pulling up. Now, this old guy, I don't like his ass, but yeah, like I said, we like to listen to both sides here, so it is what it is.
But either way, it's good to have energy. Welcome back. I'm Chris Cuomo, joined by Bill O'Reilly, Stephen A. Smith, and we have a big special night for you here at News Nation for a town hall to mark President Trump's first 100 days and to get a take on what the president said, what it means to us as a country. Democrat, legend, strategist, James Carville. It's good to see you, sir. The basic premise you heard from the president is we were getting killed on trade. Right. Somebody had to do something. It's risky, but I'm all in for America.
Well, as we're saying, hurricane country, he was speaking 200 words a minute with gusts up to 350 words.
I mean, and I guess congratulations to Japan. These guys, I mean, this is breaking news, but they've developed a electromagnetic railgun. Bro, what the hell what are we in an anime? What the fuck? An electromagnetic railgun? Like what? And pretty much is on par with China's hypersonic missiles, what they're saying. But that's, we'll move on to that later. Huh.
A minute. But he sounded like a
congratulations,
guy
though. Well done, guys.
I'm impressed. Approval and is presiding over 3/10 minus negative economic growth. So
truly,
he says we were losing $5 billion a day to trade. Okay. The market lost $5 trillion. Now, this is Cajun math, but I think $5 trillion is more than $5 billion if I just take him at the word.
That's not a permanent loss, though. And you come back in a heartbeat.
So you may.
So
but if you lose, if it goes down 12% and then you come back 10, you're still down 2.
Then he loses the midterms.
We'll see. We'll see what happens in Virginia. We got plenty of football left.
Cuomo's question is, look, he's trying to right some wrongs. And when you do that, you're going to run into headwinds. You know that.
Oh, wait a minute. We had what the economists call the economy that was the envy of the world. Okay? Does anybody look at the U.S. economy now and say, we're the envy of the world? We've
Yes.
lost all this money.
Yes. Yes, they do. I mean, bro, what do you mean? What do you mean? Do they still look at us? Bro, we still have one of the best we still have the best currency. We still got the petrodollar. We still have the biggest economy in the world, by the way. Still have the biggest consumer consumption rate, which means that our people consume more than anybody in the world, which means we have more buying power than anybody in the world. So yes, these people look at us and they hate. And they look at us as the envy of the world. Oh, yeah, and guess what else we got? Freedom of speech in the Second Amendment that allows us to have guns. So, yeah, we're the envy of the world. Steal.
Morgan share, we have negative economic growth. We're installing a policy that hasn't worked yet and try to corn laws in England. And so we're starting a trade war that have no idea what he's doing. And now he's saying, well, maybe you're only going to get $2 for Christmas and it might cost you a little bit more. Okay, well, I'm 80 years old, so I'm not worried about the price of dollars that much right now. But what's working here? Nothing.
So what would you do? What would you do?
Well, first thing, I would have never started a trade war.
Okay, so you're okay with $1 trillion going out when it comes in?
You know, a prosperous nation is always going to buy more from an unprosperous nation. We're always going to buy more T-shirts.
Right, so you were happy
well,
with
let me finish, man.
No, go ahead.
I'm just giving you the rule of trade. We're going to always buy more T-shirts from Sri Lanka than Sri Lanka's going to buy Boeing aircraft from us. And the fact that you do have a trade deficit is an indication that you have a prosperous country and you buying things that come over here.
So you're fine with it. You're fine with the $1 trillion, and Biden was fine with it.
I'm not.
He didn't do anything.
Well, first of all,
and that's how you really corner these guys. Like, okay, so you're fine with the $1.2 trillion deficit that wasn't benefiting us whatsoever, that was hurting us. So you're fine with that. Like, and really, that's what you got to put them down on. It's like, okay, so you're fine with the problem because you're complaining about a solution, and you guys have no solution on your own. So you must be fine with the problem.
I am not fine with starting a trade war.
Okay.
That is an utter disaster.
Yep.
Big gulf.
You know,
it's like a lot of people do not want to accept that the trade war was the only way. Now, look, I've ran plenty of strategies in my head. I was chatting with ChatGPT and Gemini together, and I'm just like, hey, is there any way we could have low-key made this work without tariffs? And they was telling me it'd be pretty hard to get China to the table or any country to the table that's having favorable deals without a tariff. It's like you're pretty much asking these guys to stop benefiting, stop getting the best part of it without offering or without threatening them, without offering something better in return or without pretty much threatening the profit margin. So, yeah, I looked it up, guys. I tried my best, but there was no other way. It had to be through tariffs. Sorry, but this is what it is. This is how bad it got through 40 decades of neglection. I mean, when you get 40 decades of neglection, to fix it, we got to get pretty extreme. And I ain't saying that tariffs are extreme, but this is the result. This is the result of what we let happen for 40 years, and we got to deal with it. And let's say this. Let's do it for, our future's sake. Let's do it for the future generation. Let's not be so selfish. Not saying this is going to take forever, but let's try to set our kids up with something better than what we had.
My guy was president. I always tell people, what made y'all worse? The peace or the prosperity? There is not a single economic indicator where Democratic presidents do not massively overperform Republican presidents. You look me up, you check me out. On every possible.
And here's the thing. If you guys have a better plan, let me know. I mean, bro, we got this guy here and he didn't even come with a plan. He just came with jokes. Like he came like a child. And that's how most Dems come. So I'd hope that the next Dem who wants to come in like a child, I hope you come in with an answer or a solution as well.
Thing from GDP growth to job growth to stock market growth to anything you can think of, including deficits. That Democratic presidents and take any time frame you want. I have no idea why anyone that cares anything about the economy would ever vote for a Republican for president.
Jimmy, let's deal with what we're dealing with. Let's set the table with what the problem is, okay? Because I think that the space that's being made for Trump is that he's picking on the right problem. I'm not talking about trade.
Right.
In this country, the fastest growing socioeconomic group is billionaires. This was a middle class motivated country. I never liked that word. I think you should just say the majority. The imbalance is real, okay? It's felt by people. It makes them angry. What do you do about it if not what Trump is doing? So Trump, you don't like what he's doing.
Right.
What would you do? Because the issue beats you.
It's an excellent question. The first thing I would do is I would not extend these billionaires' tax cuts, and I would not pay for them by clobbering the middle class and the lower middle class by cutting Medicaid